morning, everyone. What a great morning to build bridges, huh? I want to welcome everyone today to the start of what's going to be a tremendous construction season at the Rhode Island Department of Transportation. I want to welcome our new governor, Dan McKee, Senator Jack Reed, Senator Sheldon Whitehouse, Congressman Jim Langevin, Congressman David Cicilline, the Rhode Island Senate Majority Leader, Michael McCaffrey, Rhode Island House Majority and Floor Manager John Edwards, Providence Mayor Jorge Alorza, and the President of the Rhode Island Building and Construction Trades and Business Manager of Laborers Local 271, Mike Sabatoni. Every one of the people that are here have played an integral role in not only what's happening with this bridge, but the many, many other bridge and highway and other transportation, rail, ferry, transit projects that we're currently doing here in Rhode Island. But today, what brought all of this firepower together under this decrepit bridge is to celebrate the start of the construction season that includes a $265 million project to finally replace this Providence northbound viaduct. It's the busiest stretch of highway in Rhode Island with 220,000 vehicles a day traveling over the northbound viaduct. This project captures everything that the historic roadworks legislation seeks to correct. It has 10 bridges that all need to be rebuilt. It's congested, it's inefficient, and it has safety issues that have never been addressed until now. And we're so grateful to have our congressional delegation here who secured as a team the $60.3 million infra grant that will allow us to finally correct the frightening weave that plagues the State House exit on 95 North. I want to take a moment also to thank the RIDOT project management team, Anthony Pompey, Lou Macaron, Mike Studley, and from Skanska, the contractor for this project, Stephen Del Grasso and Jason Duplessis. The northbound viaduct is only one of 50 projects we will have underway in construction by the end of this construction season. Right now, as we stand here, we've got 34 projects, including 129 bridges that are being rebuilt and valued at about $1.2 billion in construction. By the end of this construction season, that number will increase to 50 projects, and it'll include rebuilding 146 bridges in Rhode Island. This will make a big dent in our inventory of efficient bridges in the state that need repair. In total, these projects are valued at $1.4 billion. Roadworks, it's working. In fact, we received news last week that's an important indicator of the success of roadworks. Last week, the American Road and Bridge Builders Association announced formally that we're no longer 50th out of 50 states in the country with regard to our deficient bridges. We've only moved up a couple of points, but we're out of the basement. And we've stopped the decline that took decades for us to spiral down. We've leveled it off, and now we're on the upward climb to creating a brand new infrastructure with regard to our deficient bridges in the state. And many of the projects that we're working on during this next construction season are going to maintain that upward climb so that one day we're no longer on these lists that put us in the deficient category. Before I introduce our first speaker, I'll quickly go over a list of construction projects that will be the stars of this year's construction season. Just down the highway from here is the 610 interchange, a $410 million project. This season we'll be opening up the first major part of that nice overpass that you've seen being built will be connected in operation this summer. By reducing the footprint, the Henderson Bridge, an $85 million project, not only will reduce its structural efficiency, but will be putting in place new bike paths and pedestrian ways. We'll choose a design-build team this summer for a $70 million Washington Bridge project that includes an additional through lane. And at 37, we're going to ease congestion and improve safety on a critical segment from Post Road to Pontiac Avenue in a $59 million project. In addition to that, work has started on brand new Pawtucket Central Falls train station and will continue this summer. And that is a $58 million brand new station. It's going to be quite a ride. And it wouldn't be possible without the support that we've had from everyone that is speaking here today. So without further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce the first speaker, our new governor, Dan McKee.
Thank you, Director. And it wasn't long ago where I stood under a bridge like this with you as you were announcing the road work program. I was very proud to be standing there as Lieutenant Governor and equally as proud to be here as the Governor. So Peter, thank you for your work and thank you for your entire staff's work for getting this, this momentum that we have. And of course, everybody who's been doing the work, the physical work, we want to thank them as well. It's a great turnout with many leaders here today. And to launch off this 2021 construction season in Rhode Island, our congressional delegations, Senate Majority Leader McCaffrey, Mayor Loza, Mike Sabatoni, and of the laborers, Sabatini of the labor union. So this infrastructure has always been a crucial component for Rhode Island's economy, and it will be an essential part of our economic recovery. Today we're kicking off a construction season that will result in $1.4 billion of investment in Rhode Island's infrastructure. As we emerge from the COVID-19 pandemic, this investment is more important than ever. These projects will not only create good-paying construction jobs, but also safe, updated, and resilient infrastructure for our residents and our businesses. Infrastructure is the foundation that our states and communities are built on. I want to thank the congressional delegation for helping us secure these federal funds. I want to thank you for your continued commitment to building strong, safe communities in a reliable way. Through this pandemic, Senator Reid, the White House, Congressman Langevin, and Cicilline have been working hard to ensure Rhode Island and its residents receive the support and resources we need. We are grateful for their leadership, and we're ready to put these dollars to good use. Thank you. Thank you very much. This year's construction project will support continued economic growth and address some of our most pressing transportation needs. In addition to the Providence Viaduct, the construction season will also include investments in other areas, including the Henderson Bridge, the Pawtucket Central Falls train station, and the Providence Newport Ferry. My wife Susan and I did travel on the Newport Ferry, and we're looking forward to visiting there this summer by way of our Providence Newport Ferry. I look forward to continuing to improve and invest in our infrastructure to create resilient communities and improve the quality of life for hard-working Rhode Islanders. We'll need the support of everyone here today to make that happen. So thank you, and with that said, I'll turn it over to Senator Jack Reed. Senator?
Well, thank you very much, Governor. It's a pleasure to be here this morning, and I want to first recognize my colleagues, Senator Whitehouse, Congressman Cicilline, Congressman Landrigan, for the tremendous work they have done to bring these resources to Rhode Island. Also, let me recognize Mayor Lawser, Mike McCaffrey, and Jay Edwards, and also former Mayor Bill Murray. He did a great job up in Cumberland. And thank you, Bill, for being here. And this, I think, is the first official opportunity to say hello, Lieutenant Governor. Marco. Bueno. Hey. Governor, one of your first decisions as governor was outstanding, and that was keeping Peter Alvedi as your director of transportation. Peter's done a great job for the state, and I thank him. And I think we all appreciate what he's done. I'd also recognize Michael Sabatoni and all the laborers and building trades and men and women who have worked so hard in very difficult circumstances to make sure that we're building Rhode Island. We're making big investments in Rhode Island. We've made them over the last few years, and we're seeing those dollars be put to work in this season. A major challenge for all is to make sure we manage it well, and I'm confident we will. Let me give you a sort of a sense of what we've done. In addition to the regular FAST formula grant programs, every year the state gets its formula money, we've helped secure over $160 million to address Rhode Island's decrepit bridges. I'm pleased to see we're no longer number 50. And when we finish, we'll be number 1. Over $120 million in infra grants for the Providence Viaduct for Route 146, $85 million in bill grants, which are now called RAISE grants, to fund projects Route 37, Route 295, the Washington Bridge and the Pell Bridge ramps, as well as planning for a connector between Route 4 to Route 195 South. And with these and other sources, as Peter said, Rhode Island is ready to deploy $1.4 billion. But that's not everything. We're also putting more money into transit, including competitive grants for new bus hubs at CCRI and URI, new electric buses, and maintenance facilities at Ripton. We're putting $12.5 million in federal funds towards renovating the Providence rail station. And we're making real progress at the Pawtucket and Central Falls rail station. We're also spending $30 million to reconstruct the crosswind runway at T.F. Green Airport. We're investing over $11 million in port improvements at Quonset Point. We've secured funding for ferry terminals in Bristol and at Quonset, and we're investing in our small shipyards. And that's just transportation. As long as this laundry list is, the need is even greater and we have to do more. That's why we need to pass the American Jobs Plan that not only includes road and bridges, but other infrastructure in order to keep our communities thriving, to make sure we rebuild our schools, our sewer systems, our public transit, our affordable housing, and much more. The backlog is huge. So we'll be working to pass transformative legislation. In the meantime, we'll keep working to deliver the checks so that the governor and Director Alvedi can keep doing the work. Thank you. And now, with great pleasure, my privilege to recognize Senator Sheldon Whitehouse, who's been a leader in these efforts throughout. Sheldon.
Thank you, Jack, and it's a great pleasure to be here with our new governor and our even newer lieutenant governor, with Majority Leader McCaffrey and Representative Edwards, with Mayor Lorza, and of course with our entire delegation, which works very hard to bring these funds home to Rhode Island. Better roads and bridges are on their way, and a lot more as well. I helped write the FAST Act in the Environment and Public Works Committee, which brought nearly $1.4 billion into Rhode Island to improve roads and highways. The delegation and all work very hard on what we call Tiger grants, that are smaller grants up to $15 million. But I saw a need for bigger grants, and so I wrote the infra program, and we've had two $60 million grants pursuant to that program. This matters to Rhode Islanders. They spend about $850 a year on car repairs because the cars get battered and rattled by bad bridges and bad roads. So this is a really good, strong step forward. But as Jack said, there is more on the way. And that is President Biden's American Jobs Program, which will have $600 billion in transportation, $115 billion additional just for roads and bridges. And then, of course, there's the electric vehicles and the electric buses and the electric school buses and the water and the broadband and the coastal infrastructure and the rail and the electric grid and the offshore wind. We're going to see a lot of work here in Rhode Island thanks to that bill. And making it happen over on the House side are the two very distinguished members of our House delegation, and it's my pleasure to yield the microphone to our senior House Representative, Jim Langevin.
Well, thank you, Senator Whitehouse, for the introduction. Thank you, Senator Whitehouse, for the introduction, for your leadership. Let me say what an exciting time it is to be joining my colleagues today announcing this project. Let me recognize, of course, our new governor, Dan McKee, and our new Lieutenant Governor Matos. And I'm proud again to be here with my colleagues in the congressional delegation, our senior Senator Jack Reed, Senator Whitehouse, my colleague in the House, Congressman David Cicilline, of course, Mayor Lawser, and Leader McCaffrey, and Representative Edwards. Great lineup we have here today announcing this project, but this is really exciting and something that's been long overdue. As we gather today to mark the beginning of another road and bridge project construction season, I'm absolutely thrilled to see RIDOT's progress since last year and the plans they have to build upon their success moving forward. I want to recognize Peter Albidi, and I'll say a few more words about him and his team, but he's really got Rhode Island on the move, and I know there's more that's yet to come. But today, with my friends in Congress, we are here to tell you we secured more than $430 million in grants to invest in infrastructure projects all across Rhode Island, projects that will make our roadways safer, less congested, and drivers and passengers alike again safer, and keep them on the move. I want to specifically, though, single out and recognize my good friend Senator Sheldon Whitehouse for his work in creating the infogrant program that he just spoke about a minute ago. This was a really big deal, which devoted more than $60 million in federal funding for the Providence Viaduct project right here that we're talking about. So clearly, Rhode Islanders are going to continue to be on the move because of his work. One might say that to go through Rhode Island, you're going to go through White House first. So great job, Sheldon. And of course, our senior Senator Jack Reed on the senior program to keep the funds moving as well. But again, getting back to Peter Albidi, I want to thank Peter for his leadership at the Rhode Island Department of Transportation and recognize the dedication of his office and his entire team in ensuring our highways are fortified and improved. I agree with Senator Reed, with Governor in complimenting you on one of your first decisions to keep Peter Albidi on the road on the job as our director of DOT. So I know there's more is yet to come, and I can't wait to get many more ribbon cuttings and groundbreakings. Similarly, I want to recognize Mayor Lorza for his leadership on this project. As we speak, though, I want to talk about another something point that's coming down the pipe. Thanks to the leadership of President Joe Biden-Harris team and the American Jobs Act, which was recently unveiled, Congress right now is beginning to consider a once-in-a-generation investment in our aging and crumbling infrastructure. We have had a long time infrastructure deficit in this country where we have not put enough money into our infrastructure. That is about to change. This legislative package has the potential to transform entire communities, upgrading and modernizing our infrastructure to meet the demands of a 21st century economy. You see, these investments in infrastructure are also investments in our shared future together. As we emerge from this pandemic, securing the funding for critical infrastructure projects like the viaduct and so many others will dramatically improve our transportation networks while also creating good-paying jobs, union jobs right here in Rhode Island. And to that point, I want to recognize Michael Sabatoni as leader of the construction trades here in Rhode Island, and the men and women with the hard hats, they're going to actually build these roads and big projects. I thank them for what they are doing and will continue to do to keep Rhode Island on the move. So, good luck to RIDOT and another successful year of construction. On behalf of all Rhode Islanders, we're rooting for you, and I want to say thank you. So with that, it's my pleasure to now introduce my good friend and colleague from the 1st Congressional District, Congressman David Cicilline.
Good afternoon. It's great to be here with our great governor and our wonderful lieutenant governor, with my colleagues Senator Reid, Senator Whitehouse, and my senior colleague in the House, Congressman Langevin, Mayor Lorza, former Mayor Murray. I now also see the newly anointed Providence City Council President, John Igliozzi, Director Alvini, of course, Mr. Sabatoni, Michael, and of course Jay Edwards and Leader McCaffrey. Thank you all for being here. This is a great day where we're we're part of the kickoff of Rhode Island's 2021 transportation construction season. So it's a time to announce these projects, announce the kickoff, but also an opportunity to really renew our shared commitment to building an economy here in Rhode Island that works for everyone through sound investments in infrastructure. The projects of the 2021 construction season show how every level of government can and should work together. We're going to position Rhode Island and frankly our country to outpace our global competition while creating good-paying jobs and improving the quality of life right here at home. This year, thanks in part to hundreds of millions of dollars from the federal government, Rhode Island will invest $1.4 billion in our state's infrastructure. It will allow us to make real progress on 50 infrastructure projects in all, and the viaduct that we're gathered under today represents one of Rhode Island Department of Transportation's largest construction projects, helping to rebuild the busiest stretch of highway in our state. And I know this is of great interest to all of us, but I know particularly to Mayor Lorza, it was of interest to me when I was mayor of the city. This is a really important project, and obviously we all worked hard to secure federal funding to support this, but I wanted to particularly acknowledge the work of Senator Whitehouse, who developed the federal program, actually authored the legislation that created a federal program that, lo and behold, Rhode Island was one of the first states to secure money through that program, and that's really because of the extraordinary leadership of Senator Whitehouse. He deserves a special round of applause. We are also tremendous beneficiaries of the leadership of Senator Reid, who uses his position on the Appropriations Committee to secure funding for our state really in historic ways and has always made infrastructure a priority. And so thank you, Senator Reid, for your leadership. I know we all look forward to this project being completed, and we're also looking forward to continued progress on projects all across Rhode Island, the 610 interchange, the Henderson Bridge, 15 separate bridges along Route 37, the new Pawtucket Central Falls train station, just to name a few. This means for Rhode Islanders, better roads, better bridges, safer bridges, a better transit for our commutes. It means that as our state continues to reopen, more working men and women will be able to get good paying union jobs. We know that these investments in infrastructure strengthen our economy and our competitiveness and create greater pathways to the middle class for more Rhode Islanders. And as my colleagues have mentioned, that's why, in addition to the funding that we've already secured, that we're all working very hard to pass President Biden's American Jobs Plan. The House is already hard at work to advance this transformational jobs package, and we all know the state of America's infrastructure. The American Society of Civil Engineers does a report card every year, and in every category we get C's and D's and F's, and it's because we have not made the kinds of investments that we need to make in infrastructure, and this is really an opportunity to catch up. The President has outlined the biggest jobs investment our country has made since the Second World War. We all know here in Rhode Island, 40,000 Rhode Islanders are unemployed right now, and we need to get Rhode Islanders back to work. And we can do that if we pass the American Jobs Plan. It will mean more good-paying union jobs. It will mean investing in safer roads, cleaner water, more affordable housing, resilient infrastructure, schools, childcare, clean energy, caregiving, and importantly for Rhode Island, American manufacturing. It means building a stronger Rhode Island than the one we had before, because we all know we can't just build back the same old way. We have to build back better and put it on works for everyone. So we all look forward to working with all of our partners gathered here today to get the job done. And with that, speaking of one of our great partners, it's critical that we have great state leadership. And one of our vital state-level partners is, of course, the Rhode Island General Assembly. Now I invite Senator Mike McCaffrey, the Majority Leader, to say a few words.
Certainly an honor and a pleasure to be here this afternoon. And I'd like to recognize my colleagues in government for the hard work that they've done over the years. But if we look back in our country, in the 30s, our country was in the midst of the Great Depression. And President Roosevelt presented the New Deal to the nation. FDR's Commerce Secretary, Harry Hopkins, the architect behind the New Deal Public Works Project, understood the value of investing massive public resources in bridges and roads. The massive government investment put people to work, building roads that would serve our country for generations to come. Now, not only do people back got to work in quality jobs, it opened up our country to the world. Today, our economy again is reeling, this time due to the pandemic. We have a different Commerce Secretary who we all know can attest to her commitment to the investment in our infrastructure. Secretary Hopkins back then said, "The new frontier is an idle man, money and machines, and all the resourcefulness of ingenuity and courage that resides in the 12 to 13 million unemployed Americans is helpless to take up this new frontier without tremendous organization of a productive forces only that our government can supply when business is in the doldrums." This commitment is shared by every member of the General Assembly and our congressional delegation and Governor McKee, as well as Director Alvini. And we are again committed for the same reasons to put people to work in jobs while making an investment to improve our economy and the quality of life for Americans in generations to come. Since the implementation of roadworks, Rhode Island has been working in all corners of the state to repair our infrastructure. And I want to thank our congressional delegation for securing the much-needed federal resources that make these projects possible, as well as Governor McKee and Director Alvini for investing this money and moving so swiftly to improve Rhode Island's infrastructure. I look forward to another historic construction season, and at this point in time, I'd like to welcome my colleague in government, Representative Edwards. John?
Morning, it's a great day. I'd first like to thank Governor McKee and our entire federal delegation and my colleagues in the General Assembly for their continued support of Rhode Island's infrastructure and the good-paying union jobs that these projects generate. Not only do we all end up with safe, drivable roads and bridges, but we we also have construction jobs in Rhode Island that allows our workers to make a real living and pump much needed dollars back into our economy. Projects like these are the showcase of our infrastructure work, but there are numerous projects throughout the state, smaller in scale and less visible or outside urban core, throughout Rhode Island's 39 cities and towns that are equally important, especially to the communities in which they are being done. Now that the warmer weather is finally here, our roadwork projects are starting in earnest. Let us hope for a safe and productive season for the men and women performing the work and the thousands of Rhode Islanders who will eventually be driving on these completed projects. It gives me great pleasure to introduce our mayor, Mayor O'Rourke.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for being here in our capital city. And I want to add my voice to the chorus to everybody who has played a key role in bringing us here today and helping us kickstart this construction season in such a good way. Thank you, Governor, and thank you also to our new Lieutenant Governor. My first time referring to you as Lieutenant Governor Matzo, so great to have you here. Our entire congressional delegation, Senator Reed, Senator Whitehouse, Congressman Langevin and Congressman Cicilline, our partners in the State House, Leader McCaffrey and Representative Edwards. We're also joined by ex-Mayor Murray, great to have you here. Council President Igliozzi, great to have you here as well. And of course, we're all here rallying behind the work that Director Alviti has been doing and will continue to do in this year. I want to be very brief and just say that it's been a very difficult year for all of us. But it's great to have spring in the air and hope on the horizon. And there are a lot of things that we should take solace in and should be very thankful and optimistic for. The first is we can't take it for granted that we have our entire congressional delegation, our governor and local leaders all working together. That's the way the government is supposed to work, and we have an incredible opportunity to be an example for the rest of the country and how we work together at the federal, state, and local level. Second, we also have once in a generation, perhaps once in a lifetime, kind of opportunities to invest in the infrastructure of the future. Through the American Rescue Plan and the American Jobs Plan, we have the opportunity to not just envision what the post-COVID world looks like, but to make it a reality. And so that's something that I'm certainly committed to working with all of our partners in government to help make real and to help bring to our cities, states, and our entire country. And then finally, I'm very optimistic by the fact that in spite of much of the social unrest and calls for greater equity and changes around our social structure, the fact that equity has entered our everyday lexicon and our entire American Jobs Plan program, the American Rescue Plan, is being driven with equity in mind. Let's put ahead the communities that have been historically left behind, and let's take a more expansive view and definition of what infrastructure is. Here in Providence, we are also investing in infrastructure, and I'm proud to say that we, I believe today, are closing on a nearly $25 million affordable housing bond to directly invest in affordable housing here in our city. That is infrastructure. But we're also looking at infrastructure in a number of different ways, in the social and support infrastructure that our families and that our kids need in order to thrive in this world. So there's a lot to be optimistic for. I'm very happy and proud to be here with all of my colleagues in government, and I look forward to a lot of great work ahead. So with that, I'll pass it back over to Director Alviti.
Well, thank you, Mayor, and thanks to everyone here. It occurred to me, Lieutenant Governor Matos, this is the first time you're joining us at one of these, but every other person, including the governor when he was lieutenant governor, all of these people were standing with us 6 years ago when we kicked off roadworks. And the work that you have seen done and the amount of improvement that you're seeing being made throughout the state is because they've all decided not to just attend the ceremony 6 years ago, but to continue to put their shoulders into providing the funding, providing the support, and providing the resources that we need, and provide the foresight to bring our transportation infrastructure in the state into the future. So I want to thank them all for all of their work and all of their contributions. And we're looking forward to another record-setting year. So thank you all for coming, and have a great year.